Greetings, fellow viewers. So, now that finally Rise of the Duelist is released, I can finally do a deck profile on something I've been looking forward to working with and theorizing for a couple months already. I already made a video on this, but I prefer to do videos using real-life cards rather than using Dueling Book, because Dueling Book kind of looks awful. So anyways, as you see, I want to talk about NEKROZ Dogmatika, my personal build for this. Well, it will probably change in the next couple weeks, depending on how people react to Dogmatika being in the meta right now. We already saw the representation of the engine is pretty high in competitive play. And this, of course, causes some counterplay to happen, etc., etc. And some other decks have been really popular that also may issue some counterplay for this specific deck. But anyways, let's get into this. So, first of all, we go over the NEKROZ engine, the standards, triple brio. You need to search your cards, of course, so you need to play this. Also, of course, if you don't summon this, I don't know what you're doing wrong. This card is really good at breaking boards and breaking the Buster Lock. And now we have another good Kaleido target for it, which I'll come towards in the extra deck. Also, our boy Unicorn. Having this at 3 can come up. Because of another new card. And we also run 2 Clausulas, because Clausulas gets us our ritual spells. I've seen discussions on if you should play 1 or 2. I think 2 is correct because you lose a lot of grind game if your first one gets negated. I so often use the second one, and especially in Dogmatika. If you don't open a specific engine in this deck here, the duels could take a couple turns to close out, so you will need the second Klaus. Otherwise, you kind of have a problem if you use Mirror, or if this gets negated. Or Called By, especially Called By. Also, we run 1 Valk and 1 Trish. Valk is the least important of all of them, but he still comes up. Especially with a specific end board that you could make in this deck. And Trishula is Trishula. We all know and love this card. It's one reason why we love to play NEKROZ. So that was the main NEKROZ Ritual Monsters. Also, for NEKROZ monsters, we run 1 shirt. This is pretty much mandatory if you don't play incantations, and spoiler, we are not. And then our new cards. We're running Dogmatikas. Some people may say you don't want to play those, but I think they are just so strong on their own. Like, opening their Searcher is already 2 disruptions, and the Searcher is so powerful and versatile and everything. But unfortunately, that kind of has counterplay too. Also, as you know, I got myself this beauty of a card. Sniped it off Card Market. It's so gorgeous. I do not regret this. Maybe I'll try to get 2 more for future deck profiles, but only if I can finance this, because as you may be aware, this card is insanely expensive. But the Ultras also look really nice. But Starlight just adds something to this. Also, I'll do another deck profile on another Dogmatika version that you may not be aware of, and stay tuned for that. Also, for the Dogmatika cards, we run triple Maximus. Why triple? Like, this card is the most debatable card in Dogmatica because of its counterplay. It has inherent counterplay. If your opponent decided to be funny and put a Cyber Dragon Nova and an Intus and a Megaba in their extra deck, this can bite you back real hard. But I know how to kind of counterplay against this by sending specific cards off of this. And I'll get to this in the extra deck. And also, we run 2 Fleur-de-Lis, the Nightingale. This becomes kind of a Pankratops going second. Because, yeah, you can special summon it if your opponent controls an extra deck monster, and almost every deck controls an extra deck monster these days. Like, even if you play against Numeron, dropping those, like, during the end of their main phase, is a really strong power play because this outs the Zexal lock, like, after one turn, and gives them a timer. Though you have to be careful about this again, so always pay attention if your opponents would be able to do the field spell again. Some people only play like 5 cards in the extra deck for it, but others play like 8 or 10. It's crazy. So this is the Dogmatika engine. It is a really, really strong engine. And I love it. It's spellcaster, the artwork is great, etc. Speaking about Pankratopses, though, we are running one of these because this takes care of the most dominant board in the format, which is Herald Savage. Yeah, just run into the Herald, pop the Savage, threaten to pop the Savage, and that's how you get through 2 negates with 1 card. Or this forces a punishment, and then you force a Savage or Herald, which is really great. And people may sigh, but this is the reason why we are playing 44 cards. We were doing Needle Fiber shenanigans, correct. But we're not playing Christia, at least not in the main deck, because committing to Christia is kind of risky. And it adds 2 breaks to the deck, especially if you don't play incantations, which can end up being like really bad. Also, this is a new addition for this version, because we don't have any good normal summons, and we don't spam our deck with special summons, and we don't run the incantations. We're running righty driver with the lefty driver. This is the best engine to get a level 1 tuner into the graveyard, and summon Needle Fiber. And also, you can hard summon Herald if you want to try to break a board, instead of going for the Needle Fiber, because you can make this level 3. And it's just really strong. And also, if you like discard this, or if you hard draw this doesn't die compared to the Despots, which is why I don't like the Despots. And then Hara is just a general good extender. Olion we need for the combo. Okay, and for our last monster cards, we're running the boy you should play at 3 because you always draw them on Dueling Book, and the card you actually want to draw, the Gamma. Yes, we hate Driver, but we have to do something. We need something that helps us play through this format, and dropping a Gamma is like one of the best ways to do it. So if you don't like open the tuners, it's okay to Gamma into the Dogmatika, and then you just yeah, you play with the Dogmatika with the Nekroz cards. Try to tribute off this so that you get a second use off of Gamma, but you don't really need to do that. Like, Gamma is a one-time use just as a policy insurance to stop your opponent from comboing off. You could run more hand traps, but I prefer just running this because it is the best hand trap in the game. Then for our spell cards, our new best searcher, Triple Nadir Servant. This dumps extra deck monster into the graveyard, and then searches a monster that is a Dogmatika monster from your deck or from your graveyard. And that monster has to have less or equal to the attack of the monster you send from the extra deck to the graveyard. So you will have to send quite big monsters. You can't send Herald off of this, which is sad. If you could send Herald off of this would be nuts. Then also we run our favorite searcher of the NEKROZ engine, Prep. Drawing multiple prep just always feels good. We also run, of course, some ritual spells because we need to play ritual spells in a ritual deck. And for our ritual spells, we run Kaleido twice, Mirror once, and Cycle twice. Standard ratios, you could run double mirror technically instead of double cycle in this version because we're not doing Christian stuff, but cycle is so good. You get a lot of value off of it. And for our last card, we are running also one trap, and that is Punishment. If you know you're playing against Dogmatika deck, if you're playing the Mirror, or if you're playing against some back row deck, this is probably the optimal search off of Ecclesia, because this card is just pretty bonkers. It recycles itself, or it pops 2, or it enables your engine. Unfortunately, at the cost of you not being able to do the extra deck stuff for a turn. But that is okay in NEKROZ, because we're only running the Hulk stuff. If you don't draw the Hulk stuff, it's fine. Then for our extra deck, we start with the Fusion Monsters, and our first Fusion Monster is Titaniclad, the Ashen Dragon. This, in the end phase, summons or searches a Dogmatika card, a monster. And this is kind of relevant because you can send this off of Kaleido Double Unicorn, which is sometimes a combo you can do if you really want Double Unicorn. But yeah, and you never fusion summon this. You technically could play the Fallen of Albaz, but Fallen of Albaz is really bad in this format, especially because you can respond to it. And we don't have cards we really want to discard off, so the Fallen of Albaz is like not very good. It's good for going second specifically. Then we run our Kaleido 6 target, which is Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. This card, you only have to know the last effect, which is if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it to pop a monster. And this is the card that you will always send off of Maximus if you're blinding first. And if you're blinding first and summoning Maximus, the reason why you send this is if your opponent summon does the Intus play, you don't care about the Intus in NEKROZ because you don't have any board established that you want to protect. Like, cool, they can pop like a Maximus, but that's it. But what you're afraid of is them dumping Cyber Dragon Nova. And what you're going to do then is you're preemptively sending this because, of course, having tools to out a board or out the remains of a board if they try to play through your stuff is always good to have. While if your opponent then summons the Mechaba, you can bait the Mechaba with this. And then you can Kaleido Unicorn and send our next fusion monster, which is Intus. I hope every NEKROZ player had like a stash of those. I had like 6 because this got expensive. Yeah, this generally pops instantly and it pops everything, which is good. But because this doesn't pop directly at the activation, this is really irrelevant to send off of Maximus. And yeah. And then, of course, we got our Link monsters. Almirage is a really important card if you get ashed on your righty driver. And yeah. Or if you like have to normal summon, if you can normal summon Shura and want him in your graveyard for whatever reason, this is good. Like if you open Cycle, Shuret, Dogmatika stuff, normal summon Shuret, make Almirage, then Unicore recycle the Shuret, and then cycle the Shuret back. Cycle with the Shuret is like pretty relevant, but mostly this is just if you get negated on your left driver and you don't have an extender. One gravity controller, because sometimes instead of making Hauki, we can make Herald instead. And we do that in the extra monster zone. And to get rid of Herald, this is the only card that can really get rid of Herald on its own. And then you get the search. And of course, still have an extra deck monster for the Dogmatika stuff. One area. This is just to like thin your board down so that you can get back into your Nekroz engine if you committed a lot to your board and you don't manage to OTK. Hauke Fibrax, because this card is nuts. I hope this card goes on September because this is just degenerate. It does everything. I don't want to see this card anymore. Link Cross, on the other hand, I think is still fine in the format. Because like it does really good stuff. Summoning 2 tokens that you can synchro summon with is really strong, but you need to get a tuner consistently. And if you don't get a tuner consistently, Link Cross is kind of bad. Like the Inferno Ball Knight can do that. The Inferno Ball deck can get a tuner really consistently. Or Adamantipator, but Adamantipator, yeah. Generally, this just like isn't the most impactful hit. I think more Aurora Dawn has to go. We also run 1xCs. You don't have to run this. You could instead run a Borreload Savage in this deck instead. But I like this card because sometimes you just want to recycle Engine or pop another card so that your opponent has no resources. And this just recycles your Heralds or Intis, which is really good. Then for our Synchro Monsters, we're running 1 Martial Metal Marcher because of the Link Cross combo. We run triple Herald because of the everything. This card is nuts. And we run 1 Omega. A board that you can do in this deck that is not even that bad is passing on Unicorn, double Heralds, and possibly Dogmatika stuff. Because Herald can still negate under Unicorn. You just don't have the banishing stuff. So what you can do, if you Kaleido Unicorn for the 3rd Herald, you can add yourself Valk, and Valk is not going to be offline or like banished if you use Valk to stop your opponent from running over your Heralds, which is really nice. So your opponent cannot really do extra deck effects, and you have 2 negates. And Omega is just important because of Dogmatika Punishment, and you can out like Graveyard Floaters by using Maximus. It's really great. So this rounds off the main and extra deck. For our side deck, we play 3 tokens. We also run Denko Rekka, Destroyer of the Altergeists, Punisher of the Gurus. Just a nice card, and love to see it against Eldritch. Then triple evenly matched to beat big boards. And it's, of course, the honorary Nekroz trap card. Ogre, you don't need it, but I think having another hand trap is just good, and this hand trap also stops the Zexal stuff. You don't need... You could also play Ash instead, or like Nibiru is good. Then we run, because we are, even though we play Starlight Ecclesia, we are really cheap. We're running triple Forbidden Chalice. Run Forbidden Droplets instead if you got those. I still have to get mine, but I don't want to spend any more money for the next couple weeks, maybe months, on this card game. And then for our last card, because we don't really normal summon much, Virus Modus, the thick boy of destroying boards. Better than Nibiru in my opinion, because you can out an existing board. It's only bad against like small boards, like the Eldritch Synchron board, which is like to negate set 5 pass. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. I definitely enjoyed testing around with this a little. It is an absolutely gorgeous deck. It's really nice to have it high rare, and but don't. So one thing more, for those that do not want to afford the Dogmatika stuff, because either they are not playing on they are not playing the most expensive decks, or they're not playing like Dogmatika because they think it's a bad. Even though I think it's a really good engine, you don't have to play it really. It's just like really strong. Like it just gives this deck a boost. But if you want to play like the How combo deck, play my combo list instead, because that goes balls to the wall with consistency and everything. And the incantations are still really good cards. Or if you really want to save money, shout out to Lundridity for perfecting or like optimizing Megalith. I would really, really recommend playing Megalith this format if you cannot afford the expensive cards that this format offers. You just have to like get yourself maybe a Borload Savage and a Researcher and the Hauki. So you're under 100 for the deck, so you're completely fine. But like, if you don't want to break bank, just play a normal Nekroz version. You get the same enjoyment out of that, or like you may get the same enjoyment out of that. Anyways, I wish you a good day, and stay tuned for future deck profiles. If you have any questions, if you want to do some discussions with me, join the Nekroz Discord server. I may pop on and off of that. My name is Sheehan on it, and I'm gonna enjoy theorizing with you guys. See ya.